Hello everybody and welcome to another N.E.S.T reading. As usual, if you don't have the PDFs in front of you right now, you can click on the link in the description box and it will take you to the Google Drive that will provide you with the reading resources that you need for every week. And you've probably had some messages from some N.E.S.T leaders and coordinators saying which story that we're going to be reading this week. And this week we're going to be doing a story called Shikari's Cycling Adventure by Payosni Saraf. And as usual, I'm going to read a few pages and then we're going to go back on those pages and go through any vocabulary that is quite difficult or can be quite confusing, and I'll just go through the vocabulary or any phrases and explain any words and hope that it will clear the vocabulary up for you a little bit. So and there will be some questions at the end if you would like to answer them about the story. Okay, so Shikari's Cycling Adventure. This is the second page now. Shikari just could not stay still. He loved playing football, hockey, kabaddi, cricket, and enjoyed running and cycling. His real name was Shiva Prakash, but because his hometown was Shikaripura, his friends called him Shikari. Shikari worked at a sports store, after graduating from college. The work kept him busy, but he was bored. He longed to play sports and was always dreaming of adventure. It seemed to Shikari that his life had suddenly taken a pause. Until one day, Shikari heard something on the radio. India is hosting the Asian Games. Delhi, Shikari thought. I have never been to Delhi and I must go to see the games. A brilliant idea entered his mind, the idea of a thrilling adventure, a thrilling cycling adventure. What if I cycle till Delhi? I've never cycled so far. It will be exciting to travel through new cities and towns. His friend Richard offered him his cycle for the trip. We'll just stop there. That's page 4. And we'll go back to page 2. The page 1 with the title saying Shikari's Cycling Adventure. So cycling just is a sport or activity of riding a bicycle. So cycling is what Shikari is doing in the picture when he's holding his hand, saying hi to everyone, and he's on the bicycle. That's just cycling. And adventure is an unusual and exciting or daring experience. So something is an activity that makes you feel excited. So an adventure could be going exploring, for example, in a place that you've never been before and there is a bit of a thrill there. Yeah. And then on the next page, I'm just going to go through the sports. So I'm assuming you know what football is, but with hockey, it's a team game with 2 separate teams, each with 11 players, and they use sticks to hit like a small hard ball towards goals at opposite ends of the field. So it's just scoring something. And that's normally played on grass. And kabaddi is a sport that originated in India, and it's played by teams of 7 people on a circular sand court. So circular just means like it's round, and they play within the circle. And the players attempt to tag or capture the opponents, so the other team, and they have to hold their breath whilst running and they have to say the word kabaddi to show that they are doing that, and that's why it's called kabaddi. And cricket, I'm not sure if that's if you know what that is, but I'll just explain it just in case. Cricket is an open air game played on a large grass field with a ball, 2 bats, and 2 wickets, which are like sticks on like one thing, one small platform. And there are 2 teams again, and they just have to score more runs. And then the next page, on the first line, it says Shikari worked at a sports store after graduating from college. Graduating means to successfully complete an academic degree, course of training, or receiving qualifications at the end. So when you graduate from college, you have certain qualifications or certificates that allow you to apply to higher education, or allow you to apply for jobs. So graduation is like graduating is just completing your certificates. Yeah. And then on the second line at the end, he says he longed to play sports and was always dreaming of adventure. Okay, so he longed. To long for something is to have a strong desire to do something or for something. So, for example, I long to travel to London, or I long to travel to Budapest or Berlin. So it doesn't have to be a place. So you can also say I long to read Harry Potter one day. So I really want to read Harry Potter one day. And on the last line of the first paragraph, he says, it seemed to Shikari that his life had suddenly taken a pause. To suddenly taken a pause. Okay, so suddenly, that just means quickly and unexpectedly. So the dog suddenly barked, for example. So you don't expect it, and it happens really quickly and in a short space of time. That's what suddenly means. It's an adjective. And a pause just means a temporary stop. So when you hit pause whilst you're watching a movie, for example, that means you're stopping the movie for a little bit. And on the last line of the second paragraph, India is hosting the Asian Games. The Asian Games are basically a really big sports event, and it's a continental multi-sport event held every 4 years, kind of like the Olympics, but it's just the athletes of Asia competing against each other. Yeah. And the next page now, on page 4, where we stopped, the second line, it says, a brilliant idea entered his mind. The idea of a thrilling adventure, a thrilling cycling adventure. So thrilling, we'll go through that word. It means it causes excitement and pleasure, and it's sort of exciting in a sort of daring way, but it's really enjoyable. So a roller coaster, or when you go really fast on a motorcycle, that could be thrilling. That could be a thrilling way of travelling. So the idea of a thrilling adventure means that it's an exciting adventure. And the last line on the page, his friend Richard offered him his cycle for the trip. to offer, which is a verb, is to present something for someone to accept or reject as desired. So to provide something for someone. So for example, if I'm in a restaurant and the waitress is offering me water, they are asking me if I want water, and I can say no, and but I can also say yes. So his friend Richard gave him his cycle for the trip, but it doesn't mean that Shikari has to take it. It's an offer. It's sort of like, it's similar to presenting something to someone. Yeah, to offer something. And so we'll begin reading again, and we'll start on page 5. Shikari wrote a letter to his parents to seek their permission. At first, they were hesitant. It was such a long journey, and there were no mobile phones back then. But seeing his enthusiasm, they gave in. Shikari started training. He ran 20 kilometers every week. He cycled 70 kilometers every week. He exercised to make his muscles stronger. He ate fruits, nuts, and paneer and drank milk every day. He packed lightly but smartly. He bought tickets to the Asian Games. He mapped his travel route on a map. Shikari could not wait to start. Finally, he was ready. October 1982, Day 1, Bangalore, Karnataka. One bright morning, Shikari set off for Delhi on his cycle. His parents and friends came to see him off. Shikari's adventure had truly begun. Click-clack, click-clack, squeak. Day 2, Gorobidnor, Karnataka. All the people in the town gathered around when they saw Shikari on a cycle with luggage. They introduced him to Basavraj, who had gone on an all-India cycle expedition the previous year. "Would you like to join me on this trip, Basav?" Shikari asked. "Yes," Basav said excitedly. Shikari was happy. He liked Basav's company. In 2 days, the two men set out towards Delhi together. Okay, let's just go back to page 5. Okay, so in the first line, the last word, permission. Shikari wrote a letter to his parents to seek their permission. Permission is a noun, and that means permission is the action of officially allowing someone to do something. So it's approval in a way. And when you give someone permission to do something, that means you are saying, yes, you can do that, I allow you to do that. So here, his parents, he's asking his parents to support him in doing this cycling adventure. So they approve towards the end. And in the second line, he says, at first they were hesitant. So hesitant is an adjective, and it means uncertain, unsure, or even slow in acting or speaking on something. Someone is usually hesitant when they are worried about something. Yeah. So I'm hesitant when, for example, I am hesitant when I'm buying something because I'm worried about the cost of it. So when I'm hesitant about something, I'm unsure about it. And the next page, the first line, the last word, Shikari started training. So training means just to prepare for a particular sport or event with a particular diet or exercise. So for example, Shikari is eating loads of fruits, nuts, paneer, and drinking milk every day. He's exercising and he's running and cycling for very specific amounts. So he's training to become better at cycling, and training just means to prepare for a particular sport and to reach a physical fitness that prepares him to go on his adventure. Okay, so the next paragraph, so the words on the right hand side, on the first line he says he packed lightly. To pack when you pack lightly, you only take things that you need so that you're not taking too much with you. So for example, someone with a really big suitcase is not packing lightly, but someone with a really small bag with only underwear, a toothbrush, toothpaste, a comb, his glasses, sunglasses, he's packing lightly because he's only taking things that he needs. And the third line, he says he mapped his travel route on a map. So he mapped. To map something, the verb is to plan or record in detail the distance between places. So he's saying, I'm going to go here, here, and here. He's mapping out his different destinations on his map to make it easier for him. And you can see him drawing on the map. You can see him mapping out his route on the page below the paragraph. So he's drawing a red line across a map. And then the next page, on the third line, he says, one bright morning, Shikari set off for Delhi on his cycle. So to set off, that's a verb, and that just means to begin a journey. He's beginning his journey to Delhi on his cycle. Yeah, and so for example, I'm setting off to go to the shops. Or you can say, if you're with your friends or a group of people, to begin your journey, you can say, let's set off. Yeah, let's begin our journey. And on the second to last line, above the click-clack, he says, Shikari's adventure had truly begun. So begun, which is the last word, is the past participle of begin, so it's just in the past. So his adventure had already began. Yeah, so that just means to begin. And the next page, in the second line, it says, all the people in the town gathered. And to gather is when people or things come together and come together in a group or assemble. So they're coming from different places to one point, so they are in a group together. That's what gather together means. And the last line of that sentence, all the people in the town gathered around when they saw Shikari on a cycle with luggage. So luggage just means is a noun, and that just means suitcases or bags you use to bring your belongings when you're traveling. So your luggage is your suitcases. Yeah. And the fourth line, they introduced him to Basavraj, who had gone on an all-India cycle expedition. So expedition just means a journey taken by a group of people with a particular purpose, especially to explore and research a place. But in Shikari's circumstance, that he wants to explore Delhi and see what it's like. So an expedition is similar to an adventure, but it's more specific. And the last line of the page, it says, Shikari was happy. He liked Basav's company. So company, noun, is just, it means the presence of someone. So Basav's company, his presence and being with Shikari and sharing moments together with Shikari made Shikari happy. So company in this case is positive and it brings Shikari joy, but it can also be a negative. You can also make it negative. So if someone isn't good company, you can say, I didn't enjoy his company. So you didn't enjoy his presence. So company just means presence. Yeah. And let's start reading again on the next page. So, day 6. Penukonda, Andhra Pradesh. Shikari and Basav started their days early. After a light breakfast, they started pedaling. Click, clack, click, clack. They took a break for lunch and were off again. Click, clack, click, clack. They took a short nap and pedalled again until sunset. Click, clack, click, clack. Day 10. Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh. They cycled 100 kilometers every single day. Click, clack, click, clack. At night they would sleep wherever they could find space. Railway stations, guest houses, temples, or homes of kind strangers. Each day and each night was a new adventure. Day 14. Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh. Shikari and Basav noticed dark clouds gathering over their head. The wind started to blow strong and loud. Thunder rumbled through the sky as it rained heavily. Before they knew it, they were in the middle of a storm. The two men did not have raincoats. An idea struck them. Why not make a raincoat on their own? They bought big plastic sheets from a shop, cut holes for their arms and neck, and, aha, a makeshift raincoat was ready. They pedalled on, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. Okay, that's page 12. And let's go back to page 9. So on the 4th line, it says, they started pedaling. Shikari and Basav started their days early. After a light breakfast, they started pedaling. So pedaling just means to move by using the pedals of a bicycle. So however you cycle, you have to use the pedals. And pedaling just means your feet are moving like this on the pedals of the cycle, where you put your feet, and that's how you start. That's how they're starting to move and begin their journey. And on the second to last line, it says, they took a short nap and pedalled again until sunset. So, they took a short nap. Nap in this sentence is a noun, and it just means a short sleep, especially during the day. So when you're really tired during the daytime and you want to sleep for half an hour, that means you're taking a nap. So you're having a short sleep. To nap is also a verb, which obviously means to have a short sleep. So they could also say they napped. They napped shortly. Yeah. And on the next page, on the 5th sentence, at night they would sleep wherever. Wherever just means anywhere. Wherever just means at in any place. Yeah. And on the 7th line, it says, houses, temples, or homes of kind strangers. Temples are places of religious worship. So a mosque is a sort of temple, and it is a religious place, and it's where people go to pray most of the time. And strangers, that means people you don't know or are not familiar with. So if you see someone that you've never met before, that is a stranger, because they don't know you, you don't know them, and you're not familiar with each other. And on the next page, day 14, on the 5th line, it says, thunder rumbled through the sky as it rained. Thunder just means the loud rumbling or crashing noise that you hear after you see lightning. So when there's a storm, you normally hear very loud noises from the sky, and that's what we call thunder. And on the last sentence of the page, so next to Shikari, the drawing, it says, a makeshift raincoat was ready. So makeshift is an adjective, and it means it's describing a temporary solution. So a makeshift raincoat is a raincoat that will help them for a little while, but it's not going to help them for long. So for now, it's a good temporary solution, but makeshift just means that it's not going to last for long, but it still works. So if I don't have a chair and I make a weak stool to sit on just for the night or the day, that's a makeshift chair. Okay, so let's begin reading again on page 13 now. So, day 16, Nagpur, Maharashtra. When the road was steep, Shikari and Basav had to stop pedaling and push the cycle uphill. They saw snakes, bison, deer, and jungle cats along forest roads. Click-clack, 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 click-clack. Day 18, Narsinghpur, Madhya Pradesh. It was a bank holiday, and the two friends did not have any money left. They were tired and hungry. Where are you two headed? A cycle shop owner asked them. After hearing them out, the shop owner offered them tea and lunch. He also gave them 100 rupees for the journey ahead. How will we ever repay you? Thank you for helping us, said Shikari with tears in his eyes. They set out for their next destination. Click-clack, 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 click-clack. Day 23, Delhi. Click-clack, 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 click-clack. Shikari and Basav cycled by the majestic India Gate. Yes, they had made it to India's capital, Delhi. The many days of cycling in the harsh sun, the difficulties they faced, and the pain in their legs all seemed to disappear. Now Delhi and the Asian Games awaited them. November 1982, Day 27, Delhi. The Asian Games began with pomp and show. The two friends saw boxing and badminton matches. They saw world athletes competing in wrestling and gymnastics. The game's mascot, Apu, smiled from the stadium walls as they watched tennis and volleyball matches. They were amazed at the strength of the weightlifters and the agility of the swimmers. Okay, let's stop there and go back to page 13. So, day 16 on that page. On the first section of this page, he says, when the road was steep, Shikari and Basav had to stop pedaling and push the cycle uphill. So uphill means towards the top of a hill or a slope. So when you're pushing uphill, that means you are down at the bottom and you're going up the hill. So uphill is just an adjective. And then on the next paragraph on the same page, a bison, they saw bison, and that's just a type of wild ox. So it looks slightly similar to an ox, like a cow. And on the next page, it says it was a bank holiday. So that's the third line of page 14. So a bank holiday is a national public holiday in the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth countries. So for example, India, where they are. And on a bank holiday, all banks are closed on these days, and most of the time a lot of shops are closed as well, and it's a holiday for most people in the country. And the next paragraph, on the first line it says, after hearing them out, the shop owner offered them tea and lunch. To hear someone out is to listen to someone until they finish speaking. So the shop owner was hearing them out. It means that the shop owner listened to them and listened to the explanation until they stopped explaining and said everything that they needed to say. So it's to listen to someone well. And on the third to last line, it says destination. They set out for their next destination. That's just right above the click-clack on the same page. So destination is a place that someone is going to or being sent to, and the destination is the end goal. So that's the final goal that they needed to reach for their adventure. So that was their destination. For example, the destination for example, if someone asks you what is your destination and you're on a train, and if your destination is Manchester, you could say my destination is Manchester. So that's where you're going to. Yeah. And on the next page, on the last line on day 23, it says, now Delhi and the Asian Games awaited them. So, awaited them. That is another way of saying the Asian Games waited for them. That they were there, that the Asian Games were there for them. And it's a verb that just means that the Asian Games are also expecting them, they're waiting for them to arrive. So yeah, for example, I could say when you have exams or homework that you haven't done yet, you could say that in the next few weeks. For example, you could say my exams and homework awaited me. Yeah, so they were there waiting for you to finish them. And the next page 16, on the fourth line, the Asian Games began with pomp and show. So pomp just means a ceremony and a splendid display. So like a really nice show of music and costumes and just a really lovely ceremony to show what they represent. And on the fourth to last line, which begins with the game's mascot, Apu, smiled from the stadium. So we're going to go through the word mascot. So mascot is a person or a thing that is supposed to bring good luck to someone or an event. And a mascot is linked to a particular organization or event. So this mascot is specific to the Asian Games, and the mascot is called Apu. And on the last line of the page, it says the agility of the swimmers. So the whole sentence says, they were amazed at the strength of the weightlifters and the agility of the swimmers. We're going to go through the word agility. So agility is a noun, and that means the ability to move quickly and easily. So how the agility of the swimmers means the quickness and the athleticism of the swimmers. So agility is just the ability to move quickly and easily. So let's begin reading again on the next page. So page 17. The women's hockey finals was a thrilling match between India and South Korea. Shikari was at the edge of his seat throughout the match. India won and he was overjoyed. Shikari now looked forward to going back home. Meet the real Shikari. This story is inspired by Shiva Prakash Honashatar's real-life adventure of cycling from Bangalore to Delhi for the Asian Games in 1982. He was 25 years old then. Mr. Shiva Prakash recently retired as the sports secretary of St. Joseph's Boys High School in Bangalore. And on the next page, you can follow Shikari's cycle ride to Delhi from Bangalore, and this is the real route that he took. So here you can look at the map. And on the next page are images that are important to the story. So letters, the letter of approval, the mascot, the map, and a picture of him. Okay, so let's go back to page 17. I just want to go through a phrase with you. So on the second line of page 17, it says that Shikari was at the edge of his seat throughout the match. At the edge of his seat. So this phrase just means that he was in suspense. So when you're at the edge of your seat, that means you're waiting anxiously or eagerly to see what happens next. So when you're watching an action movie, you can be at the edge of your seat because you don't know what's going to happen next, but you really want to know. So that's what edge of his seat means. And let's go through some questions. So, question number 1. What does adventure mean? Come up with a sentence using that word. Question number 2. What is the mascot in the Asian Games called? Can you name a real mascot in real life? Question number 3. What is Shikari's real name in real life? And what was the sports match that Shikari felt most excited for when he was watching? Okay, so you can pause this if you need more time and play back the questions. And I'll go through the answers. So, what does adventure mean? Adventure just means an exciting or daring experience. So something that makes you feel excited, an experience that makes you that you find thrilling, and it's something positive, an adventure. So, question number 2. What is the mascot in the Asian Games called in this story? So, the mascot in the story is called Apu, and it would be great if you could name a real mascot. You can look up what a mascot was in the last Olympics, or any Olympics for that matter. And a lot of American football teams have mascots as well. That's a very big thing for that sport. And for question 3, what's Shikari's real name in real life? If you can remember, this story is based on a real experience of a man cycling from Bangalore to Delhi for the Asian Games in 1982. And his real name in real life is Shiva Prakash Honashetar. Yeah. And for the last question, what was the sports match that Shikari was most excited for? So if you can remember, on the last page, on page 17, it says that the women's hockey finals was a thrilling match between India and South Korea. Shikari was at the edge of his seat throughout the match. India had won, and he was overjoyed. So, the sports match that he was most excited to watch was the women's hockey finals between India and South Korea. And he was most excited about it because this is the only time that he is at the edge of his seat, and it was a moment of excitement for him. Yeah. So I hope you all enjoyed this story and this reading session. I really enjoyed this story because it's based on a real life adventure, and I think when a story stems from a real life experience, it makes it very special, it makes it very relatable, and I hope that you found some fun in taking that journey with him. I think the drawings are beautiful, and I hope that you've explored more than the words on the page. I think the pictures provide a lot more of the story to you. And if you're stuck on the vocabulary, obviously you can message N.E.S.T and we will sort that out for you. And hopefully we'll see you next week as well. Bye.